Hello guys, welcome back to the CTXCLOUD, continue to our NetScaler training series. So today we are going to learn how you guys can load balance your web servers on the NetScaler. So for that I have created three web servers. So you guys can see that CTX blue server, CTX server green, CTX server red. So these are the three servers I have created on the Zen server. And now I am going to take the RDP of these servers. So I have taken this RDP of this blue server, green server and the red server. So after that guys, you guys have to install the IAS role. You guys can say that web server role on these servers. So for that I have to go on adds roles and services, click on next, and here you guys need to select the server, and from here you guys need to select web server IAS role. Here click on add feature, click on next, click on next, click on next. I will use as default options, click on next and click on install. So the same work you guys have to do on another three servers so that we can see how the load balancing works on the NetScaler. So further we are going to see these things. So mainly you guys need to install these roles on all these three servers. So I'm going to pause this video. Meanwhile, I'm going to install the same role on other two servers and we will back after next 3 to 4 minutes. Okay guys, so now you guys can see that I have installed this IAS server on all the three servers. So I have installed this role on all the three servers. So now I'm going to close this wizard on all the three servers, and after that I am going to reboot these servers. So this is like step by step, otherwise we can continue in the same scenario, but I usually recommend after installing any role you guys have to reboot your servers. So again it will going to take next 3 to 4 minutes and we will be back after 2 and 3 minutes. So guys, now you can see that all my servers are back after reboot, and let's try to access these servers first. So I'm going in a cognito mode, so just wait, let me open my Google Chrome and I'm opening this. It's gone on my second screen, so just wait. So here I am opening a fresh wizard here and I am accessing these servers from the IP address first. So 192.168.1.81 is my first server IP. So if I am accessing, you guys can see that a web based page is opened on this server. So now I'm going on my second server, which is 192.168.1.82, and again this is the another IP of the server, and you guys can see that a web page on this server as well. So this is basically IIS web server page. So again I'm going to enter my third server IP 192.168.1.83. So you guys can see that there is like similar web page on all the three servers, and if I'm going to load balance the same server on the NetScaler, and after that if we will continue to identify where my request is going, so we are not able to identify. So that's why I'm going to do some small changes on this server so that we can easily identify that my request is going on red server, my server request is going on green and then blue server. So for that I'm going on my server here in the C drive, and if you go on the C drive you guys can see that there is a folder inetpub here. So you guys have to open this, and here you guys need to go on www, and this is the web page. If I'll open this, you guys can see that this is the similar page you guys are able to see on my when I am accessing the server of this IP. So now I am going to make some little bit changes on this web page so that we can easily identify the servers like blue, green and red. So here I'm going to draw a square here, so that's fine. And I'm going to fill this box with this color, not this color, not this color, okay, this color. So you guys can see that there is little bit blue here, so that's what I am going to identify that it's a blue server. Or you guys can make some text here, and you guys can see, write this like, let me choose the color, different color here. Okay, so you guys can now easily identify that this is a blue color. So after that I am going to save this file, save, and that's fine. Close this, and after that let me check my blue server IP. So cmd and then IP config, and 182 is the IP. So here I'm going to refresh the page of 182, and you guys can see that this is blue. So same changes I'm going to do on red server and then green server. So I'm going on my green server, and here in C drive you guys have to go on inet pub folder, and after that www root, and you just open this file and draw a square here and fill this with a green color. So I am going to fill this as a green color. So now you guys can identify that this is a green server. So I am going to save this, and that's fine. Just check the IP address of this server, which is cmd IP config, and you guys can see that the server IP is 183. Now I am going to refresh the 183 IP here and just refresh it, and you guys can see that this is a green server. The red server is still on the default web page, and I'm going to change this as well. So I'm going on my red server, go to your C drive and go on inet pub, and this is www root, and just open this web page and make some, draw a square here and fill this box with a red color. So I'm selecting this, picking a red color, and just fill this. Click on save, and after that I'm going to refresh the red server page, and you guys can see that it's a red mark here. So now you guys can see that I have installed a web server role on all the three servers. After that I have made some little bit changes so that I can easily identify whenever I am going to put a request for after load balancing these servers via NetScaler. So this will work as a round robin, like that my request first goes on red server, then green server, then blue server. So in this type of scenario we are going to see in like few minutes. Okay, now I'm going to close, and it's time to open our NetScaler and do the load balancing of these web servers. So I'm opening this. First I am accessing my NetScaler, which is ns1.ctxcloud.in, and you guys can see that it is fully secured as we have done in our last video. Here I am going to enter the credentials nsroot, and which is my password, and after that you guys can see that my NetScaler is open. For the load balancing you guys have to go on your traffic management and then load balancing, and we will start from the bottom, which is like servers. So here you guys can see that I have to add my all three web servers here. There are some other servers already running on my NetScaler like storefront. Let me show my internal storefront URL, which is internal apps.ctxcloud.in, and I have to detect receiver, and click on already installed, and you guys can see that it is working. If I am entering the credentials of any user here, let's say SRN, and then I'm going to put the password here, so you guys can see that my storefront is accessible. So if you want that, I will create another video how to load balance your storefront server on the NetScaler. I can create another video, although I have already created a video, and you guys can refer my playlist, and here you guys can find out how to load balance and secure your storefront server on the NetScaler. So now coming back to our topic, to load balance our web servers. So here you guys need to add your servers first. So my server is like blue, green and red. So red server is the first server I'm going to add as my IP sequence. So just I'm going to copy here, and after that you guys have to put your red server, then IP address of this server 192.168.1.81. Just put .81 and click on create. So you guys can see that server is enabled. After that I have to check what is the IP, because I'm going to enter 82 server IP here. So IP config, and this is like second server. So just copy the address here, which is blue. So you guys can choose any of the server for the like IP address naming. To identify IP address easily, I'm going in this way. Otherwise you guys can add any of the server. Make sure you have the host name of the server and IP address of the server. So that's it. Another things are not required. So after that I'm going to add this server like blue, and here the IP address is 82. Click on create, and the same is green server. So I'm going to enter GREEN green, and the IP address is 183. So click on create. So you guys can see that I have added 3 web servers here by going in the traffic management, then load balancing, and then server. So whatever the server you want to load balance, it kind of PVS, MCS, it kind of PVS, WAM server, or your storefront servers, or your web servers, or any application server. So first of all you guys have to add that server and IP address here. After that I am going to on the services. So what is basically service? So in the services we will define what is the port or that server is using. Okay, and we will bind some policies here. So I'm going to show you. So click here, add. What is add server? So here I'm going to bind a service like web server hyphen red. SVC means services, and here I am going to select an existing server. So from here I am going to select my red server, and here you guys need to define the port. So on which port that server is working. So let's say you have a SSL on any server, so you guys have to put SSL here. If any server is working like port number 443, then you guys have to select SSL here. If any server is working on RDP, so 3389 is the default port. If it is a DNS server, then 53 is the port. So the port you guys have to define here. So as of now my server is working on port number 80 because I have not installed any certificate on this server. So that's why I am selecting HTTP here. Click on OK and click on done. So now first services for the red server has been created. After that the same thing I am going to do for green. Let's say blue, because blue, or you can create an green, so that's okay. So here I have to select my green server, click on OK, click on done, and same I have to create for my blue server. So this is like blue server, and I have to change my name here, which is blue. So click on OK and click on done. So you guys can see that for 3 servers I have created 3 separate services here, and you guys can see that my, let's say my storefront is working on SSL, so I have installed the certificate on my storefront, and they are working on port number 443, so that's why it is showing SSL here. So on these servers I do not have bind any certificate, so that's why they are working on port number 80. So now it's time to create a like website for these servers. So here I'm going to on my virtual server and I'm going to add. So here you guys need to give like any name, any virtual name. Let's say I am going to RBG, means red, blue, green website, and here I am selecting an IP address. So make sure either you guys can create a DNS record first and then you guys can add the IP address on the NetScaler. Either you guys can give a IP address on NetScaler and after that you guys can create a DNS entries. So I think earlier I have created, so let me check my DNS server, because if I will create a IP address of different website, so let me show you RBG. So is this any DNS entry for RBG? Here you guys can see that RBG is pointing to rbg.ctxcloud.in is pointing to 185. So either you guys can create this a record first on DNS and then give the same IP address on the NetScaler, or first give a IP address in the NetScaler and then create a host record here in the DNS. So I have already created, so that's what I am going to use. So 185, and the same IP address is I am giving here is 185. So now after that port is 80, so that's fine. I'm going to click on OK, and here you guys need to bind the virtual services. So I'm going to select here and I'm selecting the 3 services here. All these 3 services you have to bind, because first user will hit the rbg.ctxcloud.in. The DNS will redirect the traffic to 85 IP, like 192.168.1.85, which is VIP IP, and then VIP is going to send the traffic on these 3 services, and based on the policies it will decide which is the least loaded server, or which is like if we will define the round robin, then the first request come on the red server, then second request on blue server, and then green server. And there is another things which is method, which is persistence, so we are going to see in like few minutes. So here I am going to select all these 3 services and click on bind. So click on continue. Here I have to select some policies here. So first is like method. So what is method? Method is basically when a request will come from any of the user, so where this request will go. So here we are going to decide. Let's say we have selected here least connection. So least connection means we have the 3 servers. Let's say take a scenario of Flipkart, Big Billion and Big Billion Days. So if my first server is handling 50 requests, the second is handling another 50 requests, and the third server have 40 requests, then my NetScaler is going to send the request on the third server which have the 40 request, which is handling 40 requests. So this is the concept of least connection. The next is what is the backup policy. So let's say this policy get failed, so all these 3 servers have the 50-50 connection and NetScaler is not able to identify where to send the request. Then the backup policy will work and it will choose an round robin. So after that it will going to send the request to the first server, because all three server have 50-50. So it did not identify that any of the server have the least connection. So next he will choose the backup policy and send the request to the first server. So now the first server have the 51 request and another have the 50-50 request. So click on OK. So this is the backup policy we have added here. The next is persistence. So what is like persistence? So persistence is like if I am a user, I have connected the first server and for the few minutes I gone away for the tea break, and then I am coming back and connecting the web server. So the NetScaler will try, here is the three things like source based and cookies interest. Cookies means it will check on the web browser cache that where the user is connected earlier, I mean few minutes back. So based on that request, the NetScaler will send the request to that server. What is source IP based? Source IP based is similar like when the user is coming from different geographic locations, so a NetScaler will identify, okay, where the user is connected to earlier. So let's say I am a US user and earlier I was connected to a US server. So again the NetScaler will try to connect the user to the same server so that it can continue to work on the same server rather than putting a new session on the new server. So that's what generally we will do, and the timeout is 20 minutes. So you guys can say that guys can decide to the 3 minutes, 4 minutes and 20 minutes. So if my user is coming back within 20 minutes, so NetScaler will try to connect that user to the same server where he left the session. So this is the basic concept of that. So click on OK and click on done. So click on save. So now here I'm going to access this website from a incognito mode. Okay, so let's say I am selecting http://rbg.com. okay, rbg.ctxcloud.in and press enter. So you guys can see that my request goes on green server. Okay, now let me go my any I'm going to open a new browser here, and let me open this, and I'm accessing this rbg http rbg.ctxcloud.in and press enter. Okay, might be some mistake. http rbg.ctxcloud.in, press enter. Again this request is going on the green server because it is checking source IP based, means where we have connected earlier session, so my IP is same, and that's why it is connecting on the green server. So now we are going to any other server, like this machine have the same IP, so that's why it is giving source IP based persistent, and I'm connecting. If I'm opening two browsers, so the connection is going on the same server. Now let me go on my another server, so which is like storefront server. I am going to access this from here. So I'm opening a internet browser here, and I'm typing the same website, http://rbg.ctxcloud.in and press enter, and you guys can see that now my request goes on the red server. So means the load balancing is working perfectly fine, because here this is the scenario of two users. Let's say one user come from here, the NetScaler send the traffic to the first green server. On the from second machine, the user come from uh, user enter the same website rbg.ctxcloud.in, and then the request goes on the red server. So guys, this is basically a load balancing of the web servers. Let me try from another server. So let me go on. I'm going to close this security, otherwise it will give the pop-up again and again. So now I am opening this and click on OK. Just press http rbg.ctxcloud.in and press enter, and now you guys can see that my request goes on the blue server. So you guys have seen three examples here. First, I have connected, I have opened this website from my laptop. It goes on the green server. Again, I have opened a fresh session from the same you mean the same desktop, like rbg.ctxcloud.in. So you guys can see that if I am opening a website from the same laptop, so you guys can see that both the request goes on the green server, because it is accepting source IP based persistence, which we have defined on our NetScaler, where we have defined this, which is ns1.ctxcloud.in and ns root, and this is the IP address. And in traffic management, load balancing, services, and here we have defined these things. So click on edit and note this. Let me go on my profile. Just wait, why it's not showing. Okay, here virtual servers, and click on edit, and you guys can see that here is the persistence. So we have defined the source base IP, means if a different request is coming from a same source, then all my request goes on the green server, I mean same server. But whenever a user is coming from the different IP, in these scenarios you can see that I have opened this same website from another server which have a different IP, then my request is going on the next method, which is round robin, and to the next red server. And if I have opened this from another server, now it is going to the blue server. So this is basically a load balancing. When a user is coming from the different system, so NetScaler will decide which have the least connection, and it is going to send the request on the blue server. So in this scenario, source IP based I have shown, because whenever a user is entering this website from the same system in two different web browser, so here it decide the source based IP persistence during load balancing. If a user is coming from the another IP, then he have to decide, okay, I have to request on green server, now I have to send the another request to the red server. So NetScaler will decide, NetScaler have to decide, had decided, so I will send the request to the red server. So after that, when I tried from the third server, so NetScaler identified, okay, I have one request on green server, I have two requests on green server, I have my one request on red server, and now my blue server is free, so I am going to redirect the traffic to the blue server. So this is guys the load balancing of NetScaler. Hope you guys understand what I have tried to say, and I have tried to I mean tell you. So if you guys have any confusion on this load balancing, so please put your comments in the comment section. I will try to give all the answers, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just subscribe my channel for these trainings. So thank you so much guys.